What is going on, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, the beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. I'm Ramsey Abushala, editor of urbanpitch.com. We got the cozy vibes on the couch today. We have the co-executive directors of Vibes, Brigitte Flores and Julio Monterosa. What's going on, y'all?
We in here.
Out here doing a thing another week.
Yeah, another week. We got another guest. We have a Zoom. It's been a while since we had a Zoom guest coming in from Colorado and the Colorado Rapids. We got Keegan Rosenberry. Keegan, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So just kind of getting started with you, man. Give us a quick background, quick intro, your growth in soccer, because obviously, you've had, we'll get into this, a pretty stellar career so far. Things are still on the upswing, but just kind of give us a quick background of, where you grew up, how you kind of got into soccer and where it's taken you so far.
You like walks on the beach, holding hands, all that great stuff.
Yeah. Give us the whole 9 yards.
Your elevator pitch.
I'll try to work it in. I grew up in central Pennsylvania, Amish country for people that don't know Pennsylvania very well, Lancaster County, about an hour and a half, maybe almost 2 hours from Philadelphia. And I played youth soccer in and around Philadelphia, Downingtown area. Was involved with the Philadelphia Union Academy a little bit before going to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Was kind of close to being a homegrown player for the Philadelphia Union before that, and kind of before the draft. Then got drafted by the Philadelphia Union, ironically, after the homegrown claim was denied. Got drafted there in 2016. Was in Philadelphia for 3 years before getting traded to Colorado in 2019. And this is my 5th season in Colorado. In terms of getting into soccer, I always talk about my dad. My dad was and is a huge influence on me. A lot of personal coaching early on. He was a player for a good period of time in his youth years, and then all the way up in college. Kind of just looked up to him as a lot of kids do with their dads, and just thinking that he was the best player ever. I just wanted to be like him and do everything like he did. So continues to always check in on me, and is such a big influence on me in terms of my work ethic and just kind of standards for myself and the way that I drive and push myself every day. So a lot to be thankful for, and a great upbringing. My mom as well. Nothing bad to say about my mom, obviously, but I don't know, just more athletically and soccer wise, it was kind of always my dad. It was always me and him. It was kind of our thing, and still really value that relationship to this day.
Yeah, and going the college route, now you've seen, because that was once kind of the main pipeline to MLS, and now with the growth of the academies and being part of the Philadelphia Academy. But what was like going to the college route instead? Do you feel kind of like because we've talked about this with some of the other MLS draft picks that we've had on the show. Do you feel like, do you do a nod to other super draft picks? Is there like a brotherhood, or fraternity that exists between, guys who went the college route?
BetOnline remains your #1 source for all your college basketball betting this season. Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. You'll find the latest odds, bracket contests, team matchups, and game trends at BetOnline. Updated odds for everything from live games, the conference championships, right through the Final Four and championship game. BetOnline is your college basketball headquarters this season. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code, that's BLEAV, to receive your bonus. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts.
Yeah, it's interesting. Being in the league for a good amount of time now, and just learning how, seeing young kids in our locker room that are growing up in the pro environment versus a college environment like I would have, and trying to put myself in their shoes at 16, 17, 18, and going through those impactful maturation years, and trying to think how I would have been as a kid, still growing, still going through puberty. I feel like I still am now, but just maturing at those ages, and still kind of trying to figure out. I felt like college was super valuable for me in learning kind of how to just interact with teammates. Having a couple senior guys when you first get to camp, like tell you to pick up balls and like remember to bring equipment, and like getting treated like that. And not to say that you don't have some senior guys in the locker room and professional teams talk down to players, but it's just different. Everybody still comes and gets paid to play. Everybody still kind of has a sense of entitlement. Um, it's just different, and I'm really thankful for the way that I went about it, for being able to mature in that setting versus a little bit more of a cutthroat setting, which can be the professional environment. So
But some people,
it's interesting.
yeah, some people say the college game does hurt because they're only allowed to practice 4 months out of the year, opposed to being in that pro setting where you can practice at all times.
Yeah, it's definitely a valid point. I think the top programs in the country in college still encourage, although there are regulations and rules in terms of hours on the field and how much the coach can be involved in certain times a year. They encourage all their guys and try to set up everybody in the summers to be on PDL teams, to be on summer teams, to go and train with MLS teams. And then also, there's player-led training in the spring whenever, some of those hours do conflict with. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's valid. You don't have those regulations when it comes to academy training and guys playing, training with pro teams, but, there still is a standard that's demanded of the players and the groups of the programs that want to be, compete at the highest level.
Yeah, and you went to Georgetown. Our guy Jeremy Rist, who's a contributor for Urban Pitch, he's been on the podcast before. His brother Jared played with you at Georgetown. We try to dig up some dirt on you, and he said you're just pretty strictly professional. One about your business. I don't know if he was being a good teammate or if that was actually the truth. But what was the Georgetown experience like? What was that recruiting period like for you, and why did you ultimately choose to go to Georgetown?
Is that Jared Odenbeck we're talking about?
No, Jared Rist.
Oh, Wrist. Oh, my word. Oh, that's really cool, man. I haven't talked to him in a long time. Really enjoyed my time playing with him. Great dude. Pretty sure it was valedictorian of his high school, by the way. So that's probably one of my first points that I would bring up about Georgetown is school was so difficult. And I like to think that I was like a relatively good student in high school, SAT wise, diligent in my work ethic in the classroom, but I did not do well enough to get into Georgetown like alone. Obviously soccer helped me big time when it came to admissions and getting into that school. And the challenge was I was competing in the classroom with kids like Jared or like, the rest of the population that went there and got accepted there were really, really smart kids and really, driven people that were, you name it across the world. And, especially in the business school, there's a relative curve. So only a certain amount of people could get A's, certain amount of people could get B's. So
Right.
needless to say, it was challenging. And that was, again, such a huge part of me growing up and me learning how to handle my business and figure out how to balance these things and try to be an elite athlete, but also keep my head above water in the classroom to be able to play. And all of that, while trying to have somewhat of a social life and kind of and be a captain, be a team leader, hold myself to a certain standard, like I said. So challenging, but like I said before in the previous question, so thankful for
Right.
that environment in which I could mature in and grow up in and have lifelong friendships that I've maintained till now. And looking back you almost think you didn't quite have enough time to take it all in and enjoy it, looking around at like just what the campus looks like and the city that we're in and going to Georgetown basketball games and things like that. You don't quite appreciate it until it's gone. And I think that's like a lot of things in life, but still very, very thankful for my time there. It was, I can't ask for anything more.
I as you're sharing, like you being a student athlete at Georgetown, do you feel like you had enough support to manage being like an athlete and a student at the same time, or do you think that there could be more work to be done in supporting student athletes in collegiate levels? Because I'm curious about that. I know I had friends who were student athletes when I was in college, and I know some of them either struggled or found ways to make things work for them. And that's something that I've always been curious about, like how student athletes feel with
that kind of support? Like, is it enough? Or should there be more? Especially you know, coming from that background.
Yeah, I think, I don't obviously know how all schools and programs work, but I think at the end of the day, all of the athletic programs want you to succeed. And that's not just in sports, but that's in the classroom. So they put us in positions. We have academic advisors. We have people that we can go to push us in the right direction, to um, advise us to maybe, go to this professor's office hours, go see this TA about little things that can put you in a better light, that can look like, you might be really struggling with the material. You might find it really difficult in the classroom. You might not quite be understanding what the professor is giving you, but I think it was really helpful to be able to be advised and just guided and given those resources to be able to know, okay, I might not be, firing on all cylinders and figuring out how to perform in the classroom, but at least I know, okay, I can go see this professor at this time. I can talk to him. I can maybe get to know him. I can, try my best to, do other things outside the classroom. And I think they did a good job of that. I think at times, a lot of, guys on the team could have maybe hoped for more help, but I think, at a certain point it is on you to figure it out. And I think that's part of that process of growing up. It's part of that, trying to figure out how to balance the sports and the academics. And yeah, it wasn't easy, but yeah, I do feel like athletics as a whole, they try to look after. They try to, like I said, push us in the right direction, get us in touch with the right people. Can't speak for the basketball program. I think they might have a little extra help. That's a little more the blue blood, sport
Right,
at Georgetown. But
yeah.
Of course.
No, you gotta ask the senior guys which class is easy and
Which
go
one's
to
to
rate
take?
my professor. Who doesn't give homework and pick that class?
That's the gorilla student right there. That's
Hey,
the-
as a
that's
student
the-
athlete,
you got to find ways.
that's what I did. Hey, which class is easy? Well, professor doesn't leave homework, and like just go to rate my professor, look at the reviews, and go on that.
I was definitely on there too.
There you go. There you
And
go.
that's what I meant by making it work.
Yeah.
You gotta make it work.
Yeah, but moving on to the pros now. So you get drafted by your hometown team, in Philadelphia. You go on to start and play in every single game your rookie season, making an MLS All-Star game. What was that like rookie experience like for you? Like how do you reflect on it now, being in the league for so long, and just how were you able to make that transition seemingly so seamlessly?
Yeah, man, I can't believe it was that long ago. It's kind of crazy, but just so thankful to be in a team and an environment where the staff believed in me, gave me a chance. I always say that there's so many other players out of college, even now, right, that come out that have the same talent, same work ethic, same everything, maybe even more. But you still have to have a staff or a coaching staff or a coach that believes in you to put you on the field to give you the chance to begin with. And I was lucky enough to have that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you have to take advantage of that opportunity and perform once you get it. But so many of those careers don't even get that chance to start because you don't get that chance. And so from game one, home opener was against New England. I think I was team of the week. It was like, it was such a fortunate start for me because I feel like it kickstarted everything, right? Like my confidence was so high after that. I think the coaches had every reason to believe in me after that. We as a team went on a really good run before the All-Star break, which kind of lended itself to me getting voted to the All-Star team. As a defender, as a rookie, as a guy that doesn't really, score a lot of goals, get a ton of assists. It was only because our team was doing so well that gave me the chance to kind of stand out and, this rookie kid is having like a good season on a good team. And it was kind of just a perfect storm. And like I said, very proud of myself for performing under that pressure, those first couple starts and taking advantage of the opportunity. But just so thankful for the opportunity to be able to play and play very often. And even for all 3 of the years I was there, my career wouldn't continue to be trending in the direction it's trending without those first couple years, and especially that first season. That kind of put me on the radar. All of the coaches in the league, all of the the players in the league were able to see me perform. You know, I played against every team, and that kind of pushed me forward. That you know, really jump started my career, like you said. So
Do you think that early success helped? Like, in meaning, sometimes people say, "Hey, you know what? Getting all that early success kind of hindered my career for the simple reason that where do I go from here? You've been an All-Star from year one. Do you think that helped, or did that push you or give you more drive to get back to that All-Star level?"
yeah, I think it's always maybe a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? Like it definitely, like for all those reasons that I listed before, projected or kind of set my career in the right direction, and you know, could give me all of the potential to have a really good career, play all the time, you know, start a lot of games, you know, hopefully be on good teams. But there's also kind of that bar that's being set, and I think for the most part, you know, I had great people around me and a good head on my shoulders to be able to know that all those things kind of it has to be a perfect storm to get voted to the All-Star team. The All-Star team is, you know, you look across every sport, it's there's a lot of things that go into it. You know, a lot of people talk about politics and writers voting on it, and just coaches and players, and so many things have to go right. You know, you look at even like the NBA right now, like people don't want to give Jokic the MVP because it's 3 years in a row. People are getting bored of it, but by every statistical measure, like it's far and away the best player in the league.
I don't know. This sounds like a little bias in there. It
Yeah,
sounds like a little bit of bias.
I don't know. Is that Denver love right there?
To be fair, I mean, I'm a Sixers fan, so I should be pulling for Embiid.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you got a little bit of both. Yeah, okay.
But if you get floor seats to the next Denver game, we know something was up.
You made something happen.
Yeah, we'll see him courtside.
But I think all that being said, I knew even in the moment, like I could go my whole career, play just as well as this, and still not get voted to an All-Star team again. So it was just me kind of telling myself that to be able to soak in that week and meet those players and be involved in that team, which I still look back on now and I'm like, how, why, like, why didn't deserve to be there? And he's got like lining up in a starting 11 photo with like Drogba, Kaká, like Dos Santos, all these guys. Like I was like, what's going on here?
That's like a special thing that you look back to, and you obviously, it gives you that motivation to continue to work hard to eventually get there again, but also it's an accomplishment that you made happen. And as you think back to that year that you got drafted and you started off your year so strong, I feel like looking at it from an outside perspective, like it looks like you went in like you went all out, like you had no fear, you were just going, like you were focused on where you were at. But for you in that experience, was there anything, like what was it that you were thinking about in that moment, like creating, making your debut happen, making yourself a player that stood out? Like what was it that would be in the back of your head? Like maybe was there anything that was like you were nervous about, but you obviously from an outsider perspective, again, like you can't see that, you don't see that?
Yeah, I think other than like a couple kind of random youth team appearances with the academy, I hadn't actually played in that stadium with like fans before, or to be honest, hadn't really played in front of more than maybe 1,000, 2,000 fans before. So that quickly was like the first thing I was like just walking out before the game started. It was just like, a little bit of goosebumps and just like, man, this is like really cool. And
Right.
and after that, like once the game started, it kind of just kicks in. You get into just, what you've been like people don't understand that a month and a half prior to that, we had been training. Like preseason's kind of the worst part of the year, and you got 2 days, you're just nonstop. It's all like soccer all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for the young guys, you've got some rookie duties, you're carrying stuff, you're helping out wherever you can, and just trying to fit in, trying to not cause any problems, not get in the way of people pretty much. And so there was so much work that went into that before that first game happened. And so for that reason, I was excited. I was excited to get the chance because I felt like I was ready after all that work had been put in. But I do remember that sticking out to me. It was just like, kind of that first breath of just the environment and that home crowd. And this is the team that I play for now. All these people are here to support us. And such a cool feeling, that's, that's what you grow up like thinking about. That's what you dream about. And yeah, still kind of have those feelings when you walk out and see a crowd like that. So.
What was the first MLS moment? What player you're like, all right, well, I'm here now. Like, like somebody's first touch, somebody went around you, and you're like, oh wait, I wasn't expecting that. It's a different level of game. What was that MLS moment for you? Who did you play against when you were like, yep, I'm here now?
So I actually might have misspoke. That the game I keep talking about was our second game of the year. So it was my home debut, but my official debut was away to Dallas, and I'm gonna blank on his name, but Fabian Castillo, I think that was his first name. Used to play. He was a left winger for Dallas. Used to play. I think he went to Turkey somewhere like soon after that. But easily to this day, like one of the fastest swingers I'd ever played against. And it was like, I had like a pretty good game. Obviously enough to start the next week at home, and did okay with the ball. Made a couple good defensive plays, but there were a couple times when he just like one of those touches that you'll see like Neymar or Mbappe take, where they just hit it like 30 yards past you and start running. And I was just like this guy was so fast. Like it wasn't possible for me to give him enough of a cushion to be able to defend him. It was so bad. So I'd be actually curious to look back at some of the film, but it was a rude awakening to say the least.
Yeah, so you get traded. You get traded to Colorado. That's not something that most people will experience in their lives, where it's like, hey man, pack your bags. You're heading across the country. What was going through your head in that moment? How did you find out? And believing the team that you kind of grew up playing with a little bit. You're from the area. What was it like, kind of having to go through that?
Yeah, it was definitely a shock to me. It was I didn't really have much knowledge of it going in. I'd started like 32 of 34 games that year in 2018 leading up to it. Kind of got the first wind of it maybe a week prior, just kind of my agent saying, oh, they might be kind of shopping you. They might be, looking around, and that happens very often, and something may not even come of it. So didn't think too much of it. And like a week later, I got a call from the head coach, and it was just like, hey, we reached an agreement with Colorado. And that was really it. I still, for reasons that I've talked about already, I was disappointed in a way. It was a place that I had found some success, some comfort, obviously being close to home. Wife's family wasn't far away in Boston, in the Boston area, and not being far away from where we met in Georgetown. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, it's like, this isn't tragic. I'm still getting to play soccer for a living. Like I'm still, playing for professional clubs, doing what I love. It's just just a big change. In that vein of thinking, I'd been to Denver and Colorado to play maybe 1-2 away matches, but other than that, didn't know a lot about it, and was kind of anxious, a little bit scared, just the unknown. It was didn't know what to think, but soon after that was contacted by the GM and the head coach of Colorado at the time, and that immediately had just given me a ton of confidence in kind of saying how I was one of the top targets on their list for outside backs and the style of play, and kind of just listed all these things that I do well, how it fits into their system and what they see for the team, and some of the acquisitions they had made that year. Kai Kamara, Kellen Acosta had just gone there the year prior. Diego Rubio had come that year. A lot of interesting pieces that were kind of coming in that was exciting. And I felt from the first day I got there. So actually I went to January camp. So that was January of 19, and showed up to preseason midway through, kind of late. But from the first day I got there, I was immediately treated like more of a senior player. And I think, could be wrong, but until I had left the Union, I don't think that would have been the case, just because that was where I was drafted. I was, you're always kind of seen as the rookie until maybe the turnover is so much that you're not. But that immediately was just such a confidence boost for me, and just gave me such a good feeling to be able to feel comfortable right away and perform and feel at home and interact in a way that I felt comfortable. And so, ironically, unfortunately, we started like 12, 13 games without a win, went through 3 coaches that year, missed the playoffs, was not a great start to the Rapids tenure, but eventually landed on our head coach now, Robin Frazier. And from there, again, nothing but good things to say. another coach, another staff that's believed in me and put me on the field quite often. And just a great manager to play for. Super transparent, articulates his thoughts and views and tactics very, very clearly. And yeah, we've been really happy here since.
Do you circle that game against the Union every time you play them? Beginning of the season?
Maybe not as much anymore because the player turnover has been so much. I feel like I only, other than Jim, head coach, Andre Blake, Jack Elliott, a couple of the trainers, Alejandro Bedoya. But man, there's like, it goes quick. Every year the turnover, that's what you kind of begin to realize as long as I've been around, even for our team, it just happens so much and you lose friends so quickly. But yeah, for the first time we went back in 19, we played away at Philly. That was we were having a pretty bad year and we ended up going there and getting a 1-1 draw. We played like a super rotated lineup, so I was pretty happy with that. But we went there this year and lost like, I don't know, 6-0, 5-6-0. So that wasn't cool. But.
Yeah. So let's go to the next topic.
No, but you think of Colorado, you think of Denver, and you think of Mile City, the altitude, and just getting a chance to get acclimated to that atmosphere. It's not very, very easy. How was that transition for you? And now, having been there for quite some time, like, is it just like second nature to you, or do you still have to kind of get that fitness before season?
Yeah. So when we played here with Philadelphia, I think the first time we played here was maybe 16. I think we came back one other time. The altitude is really, really noticeable. It's kind of crazy. So especially that first training session, when you do that first warm up and you kind of breathe hard for the first time, it's just like you're so quickly short of breath. And we kind of approached it two different ways. The two times we went right before the game, and then the next time we went like 3 days before to try to acclimate a little bit more. But I don't think you can really get around it. It's like even us, we train for a week, then we play a game, we have a recovery day and then an off day. The first day back from that off day, like that first warm up, that first hard run, it's the same feel. I mean, you get like, I think we have a little bit more oxygen in our blood because we sleep here, we stay here, we live here. But still, that first like training session after an off day still kicks your butt. I mean, it's not cool. It's not fun.
Is there any tips to getting around that you have to some of the new guys coming in, or were there any tips that you were given when you came in?
Not really. No, it's just it just takes some time. Yeah, in general, us as soccer players are relatively fit. You don't take a ton of time to acclimate, but it's just kind of being comfortable being uncomfortable. You talk about it a lot of time whenever you build that fitness level in preseason, it's just be okay with feeling completely gassed. And it's pretty, way easier said than done. But we have some oxygen like backpacks going around, the guys carrying it in the locker room at like halftime and stuff. But it doesn't really help that much. You're either fit or you're not at that point. But it's definitely an advantage. Like hosting teams here, I mean, 60 minutes in, like teams are gassed. I mean, we have a pretty good record at home for the time I've been here, and I think probably for the Rapids in general. So
my oldest brother lives in Denver. I went to go visit him 2019, and I was wondering, like, why am I so tired? I thought I was out of shape, but now I get it. It's just the altitude.
Yeah,
I'm okay. I'm okay.
No, it's not you. It's the altitude.
I'm okay. It's the altitude.
You. You're not fit.
It all makes sense now. It all makes sense.
So obviously, like you said, right, it's not something that you really get used to, but you have that advantage that you're there, you sleep there. What other places have you played at that have been like a more difficult playing field that were like really like gassed you, or like it was like really hard to get used to?
I can't stand humidity, and I think it's probably gotten worse since I've moved here because the air is so dry. You're a little bit higher up, you're in the mountains. The air is so clear. But like Houston, Orlando, anywhere in Texas, I guess, in the middle of summer, those games, like the MLS's back tournament in 2020, the first thing back from COVID in Orlando.
Yeah.
Like those games. So I came back after that long break, and my first game was like our second game down there. We went down. We had 2 men sent off. So a little bit extra running. It's humid as as all hell. And then we had 12 minutes of extra time. I was a shell of myself. I probably looked like, when I get tired, I get like real droopy and like everything just kind of becomes weak. I look terrible. It's bad, but humidity really kicks my butt. It just takes like, all the fluid, all the electrolytes out of you. And I struggle way more with that than the altitude. So there's been very vivid memories in Houston. I would say Houston and Orlando more so than any others. Austin and Dallas, you still feel it, but I don't know why. I don't know what it is about Houston, but Orlando as well.
Yeah, and match fitness is something that I think that you've that's been one of your strong suits, because I mean, like we mentioned earlier, you played every match your rookie season. You've done it again later in your career. What's your mentality like in staying fit throughout the season? Because like with all the travel, the physicality of the league, playing in MLS, like it's a pretty strenuous season schedule. So like how do you approach that? And do you take pride in it seems like you do. Like you mentioned some of your stats earlier, like you mentioned you're playing in X amount of matches and all that. So what's your approach to all that?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely something that I am proud of. I think that cliche of the best ability is availability. And, for me, a lot of times if I am available, I'm going to be selected to play. And like I said, I've been so fortunate to be on teams where coaches believe in me like that. But, man, like before, when I talked about guys coming into the league having the same talent, same work ethic, same everything as me, but they just don't get that chance. Like there's so many players that have all those same things and just have a lot of injuries or have the injury bug or run into such bad luck with a string of injuries. And then they're healthy, but then they lost their chance at like that first opportunity. And now they're kind of labeled as like an injury guy. And so again, just so grateful, so thankful. Genetics, a little bit of luck, a little bit of the training staff and the coaching staff and the teams running the sessions in a way that prepares you well for the games on the weekend, as opposed to just crushing you during the week with heavy loading and you're not able to feel fit and have no injuries throughout the season. So it's so many things, but I feel like, don't get me wrong, I try to do as much as I can on my end, eating, sleeping, getting in the gym and trying to do preventative prehab work and trying to be strong in that regard. But again, you can do all those things and you can pull a muscle, roll an ankle, get into a challenge, land wrong, get hit in the head by a ball. There's a little bit of luck in there too, for sure.
I feel motivated to go work out after this, so thank you.
After my beer tonight, I swear I'm going for a mile run.
We're doing cold plunges.
I'm gonna wake up.
But the beer first.
The beer first. It's about C4.
This is why I can't stick to my fitness journey, because Julio is a bad influence on me.
She's gonna have a beer with me. That's what she's trying to say.
She's also easily influenced.
Can't drink alone.
Yeah,
I'll be drunk.
You just gotta be a good friend.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I'm curious to know, what does the kit reveal to the team, to the players, look like? What is that process like, and what was that like for you all this year?
What does it look like when they reveal it to us?
Yeah,
or
to
when we
you.
reveal it for the first time to the fan, to us?
Yeah, to you.
It's really like anticlimactic, to be honest. Like normally our equipment guy will kind of get word of it and like we'll kind of start asking like, oh, what's next year's look like, and like, oh, they'll maybe give us some ideas or like the base color. But there's not like a moment altogether where we see it for the first time. I guess on media day would be the first time we're actually able to put it on and kind of see it all together. But even then, it's like when you do media day, you go in like stations and you're going to a bunch of different things at once, and guys come in at different times and you don't really even see everyone. So yeah, it's kind of, unfortunately, probably not the answer or type of event you're looking for. But,
Yeah.
but I do love our kit. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah. We kind of.
I think we had a better kit reveal for him.
I know. No. So the Rapids we're fortunate enough to get sent over a couple of kits, and there's some of our favorites from this year as well. I think that the overall design and the message behind it is super, super cool. And, they look great. So that's like objective number one. And then, just have a connection to the city, working with the artist, Pat Milbury, and all that, I think was pretty cool from the club.
We had a whole face expression like, oh, wow.
I really was expecting you to say like, oh, we had a whole like
they made hot chocolate. They
setup,
got together.
One of you got to unbox
I wish.
Hold the string. The
know
jersey
what?
fell from the sky.
next year. Yeah.
You should talk to somebody to hype it up a little bit
I'll
more.
float the idea.
Let
Good. I like it.
let them know I thought of it.
I give
and
you
if they
credit.
need
I give you
help,
credit.
if they
There
need
she
help,
goes, always
they
wanting
can
the
call
credit.
me.
She always wants the credit for everything.
Yeah,
That's
no,
crazy.
if you get a budget, let us know. We'll set it up for you guys.
Oh man.
We'll fly out there to help.
We'll fly out there. That's the budget for us.
Yeah, 90% of the budget is travel allocations. It doesn't make sense. Like something's not adding up here.
We'll show up with the supplies and
Don't
everything.
have
Yeah.
much to work with after that. But,
Right.
We'll just throw the jersey. Here you go. Look.
Now, but keeping things off the pitch, word on the street is you're the team Barber. How did that kind of manifest itself? How do you get guys to? Because I know, speaking from experience, like you have like a special relationship with your barber that like you don't want to.
You don't break.
There's a bond there. So like, how do you gain the trust of your teammates?
We have a joke with our friends said we will cheat on our girls, but not our barbers. So like, that's a real special connection.
That's right.
This is why I'm single,
I-
because of him.
I started cutting hair in college. I was a freshman. I had a teammate that cut hair for the team, and he kind of showed me a couple things. He was about to leave the team, like he was a year older than I was, and I kind of wanted to have that torch passed on and kind of do it for the guys. You don't really have any spare change in college, especially in DC, to go get a haircut. So there's something that interested me. I'm kind of a perfectionist. I'm very precise with things, and kind of like, at the end of the day, actually, I really like doing it. And so that's what kind of drove it as well. And eventually through that as well, I learned to cut my own hair. So that's obviously been, a way to save money myself. Can do it whenever I want. Can do it every game. So, but it's basically, people trust me because as new players come to the team, they see the guys that I have cut, and apparently, according to them, it looks all right for them to be able to trust me and sit down and let me have at it. But it's been really fun. It's been such a cool way, like I said, for new guys on the team that come to sit down and get to know them in a different way. Like you said, there's a little bit different trust for somebody that's cutting your hair, especially as you could guess, professional athletes a little particular about the way they look sometimes. So
yeah, you're on TV, man. You're on TV. You got.
I like to think that so apparently, I'm doing okay with that. But just being able to kind of have different conversations and get to know guys in that way. And I think in preseason and some of those longer away trips really comes in handy with, people not having, the ability or knowledge of where to go in a different city to get their haircut. So I'm definitely a little busier on those trips, but it's a little bit side earning. So it's not bad.
How are you with designs? Do they ask for designs?
I don't do a lot of designs. I've done a couple before, but it's not a very common ask. Like sometimes like a hard part or just a straight line or a couple stripes on the side. But I don't know if it's a dying art or if people aren't into it anymore. But don't do too many of those.
Yeah, Bridget's thinking about 2001 when people had Tupac in the back of their head.
Hey, you never know.
Hey, you know what? Can you do the flag right here, like to the back?
Yeah.
No, like you and the whole team just get matching designs.
No.
Yeah.
Have you ever like messed someone's hair up or made a mistake, or how do you go about that? Like, do you cover it up? Do you like?
How do you fix the
pretend
headline
it's
that you
not
push
there?
back?
Yeah.
I've only really ever made like a really bad mistake once, and that was still a guy in college when I was still kind of early on. Because the worst mistake you can make is like going really, really high with too low of a guard, or like skinning somebody really high, or like a guard falls off and then so that only happened one
That's
time. So it
nightmare
ended up
stuff.
just being like a high and tight, like the skin just went, like the fade line went really, really high. But honestly, like every haircut has a little bit of, variability and the way it actually works or the way it comes together. And so if I actually do make a small mistake, there's no like I don't react and and actually admit that I've made a mistake. I kind of just keep working it until it's
Right.
not noticeable or it doesn't,
Yeah.
like it just kind of the haircut like continues to evolve as I'm like cutting. So if that makes sense.
Yeah. And half the time people are too, I feel like sometimes when people get haircuts, they're too shy to say anything if they don't like it. So,
I'll say something. I'll say something.
but for
Yeah,
him
no,
as
definitely.
his teammates, they probably are like, ah,
It looks great, man.
looks
Yeah.
great,
That's
thank
like-
you.
That's like one of the first things, or what I hope to communicate to people is like, listen, we're teammates. This is not your typical barber. I'm not a professional. Like, tell me if you see something, or like, tell me exactly what you think. Cause like, I'll stand here and fix it. Like when I used to go to the barber, you feel like maybe one time you'll say, oh, do you mind like just taking this up a little or to like touching this spot up a little? But then like the next time or like 3 times, you feel like you're inconveniencing the guy and you feel like silly about it, which is dumb because you're paying like usually pretty good
Right.
money for a
Yeah.
good haircut. You
Yeah.
should be able to
Yeah.
get what you want. And so,
No, I have a story in college.
but
I was getting
yeah,
a fade.
guess
I was
it'll be
getting.
all right.
I was. Sorry.
He said he does all right.
No. So in college, I was getting a fade, and then there was a power outage, so he only did one side, and the other side was looking crazy. So I had to wear the beanie like Ti for like a week, like go to the side.
Hey, get me on my good side.
Yeah,
That's why he's wearing a
Oh,
beanie
wait,
today.
that sounds terrible.
yeah. It was like a power outage. It happened like 2011 in Yuma, Arizona.
Damn.
It was bad.
That's crazy. That's like I don't know if it was in a
No
TV show,
way.
if it was in real life, but the dude was getting braids and he got arrested mid haircut. So his mugshot was half braids and then the half wasn't done.
That was Julio.
No way.
yeah, that's really
No, but so living in Colorado, what's some of the great spots to go visit? So like we go out there, we get the budget approved.
Nightlife.
Where will you take us?
yeah. What's the spot?
What's the spots? What's the spot in
Denver?
Colorado?
Like restaurants, bars, like what are we talking?
Yeah. Like under the airport, I heard there's like some crazy stuff going on. Do you have the in on that?
I've heard that story a couple times. I have no idea what's going on with that. I don't know where that came from, what the story is. It sounds cool though. I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta stay with it's all in that horse statue. I think that's what it is. But what's the spot that you like? Whether it's a restaurant, a bar, where you? I guess where would you take us? Not where are you going to? Because we don't want to blow up your spot.
Yeah.
I'd probably take you guys. So we live in like Lohi, which is like the Highlands, just across like the river from downtown Denver. We like it just because it's a little bit more of a neighborhood feel, but you're still so close to downtown. There's a good like strip of bars and restaurants in Lohi. Bunch of different ones that you can just like walk to or scooter to. The scooters are big in Denver as well. If not there, there's a street called Larimer Street, which is downtown. Since COVID, they've kind of shut down. Like cars don't even drive on there anymore. Tables and everything are out like on the street, and it's just tons of lights and probably, I don't know, 20 restaurants, like 10 bars. Just a cool place to hang out. Kind of any restaurant or genre or food genre you can imagine. Really cool speakeasy that's disguised as like a pie shop or like a bake shop. You kind of go in and you go like down the stairs in the back door, and yeah, I mean, not really one place that jumps out, but I think the different areas to show people are really cool.
I've been to the speakeasy he's talking about. When I went to visit my brother, he took me. You go under, it has like wooden walls. There's like a bar in the middle. Is it that one?
You got to be more specific than that.
No, the walls.
They have alcohol you can buy.
No.
you can buy
It's like wooden walls. Like that's what most stood out to me. It looked like it was wooden walls. I know we went inside the bake shop and went under, like it's underground. I don't know how to explain it though, but I remember.
I'm not sure.
I was pretty drunk when I went inside, but I remember going inside.
Yeah, all you remember were the walls.
The point is that he went.
Went.
He's like, the wall was spinning.
yeah, those are a really weird place. Like the rooms are spinning.
Have you been there? I had a lot of fun.
Something like that.
Oh my goodness.
But Bridget, I know you had some questions that you want to throw his way too. So we'll throw it. This is Bridget's corner. This is a segment we've been working
Bridget's
on.
corner.
We got a song now.
We'll throw it up to, we'll ISO to Bridget here.
No, so I was curious to know a little bit more about you and your life outside of soccer in a sense. So the first thing I wanted to know was I'm curious to ask why your Instagram is private.
She was creeping, trying to do her research.
And that's only to say because I think social media is a big part of how we communicate, how we connect. And I know you're private, so I just wanted to know if you're willing to share like what the story behind that.
Yeah, I just so I was like after I turned pro, and then I kind of had like a steady influx of followers, and then I don't know when it was, but like a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I just had like this like a big jump, and it was just like a ton of like random people. I don't know, and I just kind of like I've also like my frequency of posting and kind of just engaging in general on Instagram, Twitter, and everything has gone way down. And I don't really have a huge reason for that. I mean, I do feel like I've started to like pull more and more away from, I don't know, when I first turned pro, and when you're, I feel like everybody, when you're younger, you do kind of, I feel like get a little bit caught up in that and kind of, take a little more interest in, posting certain pictures or certain moments or certain things that are going on in your life. And I don't know, I just feel like I've gotten away from that a little bit, but at the same time, that influx and kind of just having so many people kind of be tuned into exactly what's going on in my life, I was just like, I don't know, I kind of feel like I prefer to have a little bit more of a gauge on who is seeing what I'm putting out there. And yeah, I don't know, I guess just personal preference, but yeah, I guess that's all I got.
Yeah.
Bridget wants to pay for the blue check mark. That's what she's asking.
No, I feel that. I feel like there's like pros and cons, right, to the social media pressure, right? Like there's a lot of like opportunities that come with it, but then also like sometimes you just want to keep things to yourself and in your circle. I don't know this, but do you have and I'm sure like anyone who's watching this is gonna want to know, like, do you have a family, wife and kids? Are you single, married?
Yeah, I have a wife. Mentioned her earlier. We met at Georgetown, and then she her family is like just outside of Boston. So again, kind of being in Philadelphia, that was not her hometown, but it was close enough where we were so much more connected at a like higher frequency with our families, and has been one of the biggest adjustments since we've come out here is seeing your parents, your family is like once, twice a year, as opposed to they would come to every home game in Philadelphia. At least mine would. We would get to Boston a couple times a year, and yeah, definitely been one of the things that we probably overlooked when I first got traded. No kids. We've been married 5 years this past January, but we do have a dog. We got a Doberman, purebred Doberman, European lines. She's almost a year and a half. So whatever that is. Well, year and a half ago. I think it was like August, October, something like that. But, yeah.
Okay, shout out to you.
She's been great. Teaching us some responsibility and putting some more energy and focus into somebody other than ourselves. So it's been a challenge. They're an active breed. They're a demanding breed, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, dogs are something else. And I think we know. I don't know about.
Yeah.
You just act like one. I'm just kidding.
Julio's answer is it takes one to know one.
Hey, yeah. Shout out to all my dogs out there.
Okay, so the reason I ask is obviously I was just wondering, like, you as a professional soccer player and just in general, do you feel like there's pressure to move towards like building a family as soon as you go pro, like having wife or a partner and kids? Is that something that you feel like pressure within your work or your profession?
No, I don't think so. I think obviously, especially us, we've waited quite a while now, both of us close to 30, and we've just really enjoyed our time together being married and not having kids. We've been so much more availability to travel, to go and do some things that we know that we won't be able. Well, you still can with kids, but it's just different. I think a lot of things change when you have kids. Their time, their energy it's all about them. They really kind of run the show after that. So, but no, we haven't felt that. Part of my feeling, and then I've shared with my wife too, is a part of me would love for our kids or kid or however many for them to be able to witness what I do for a living, like firsthand. Have that moment that you see so many professional athletes have out on the court or the field, and a walkout before the national anthem, or coming down on the field after the game, and kind of just having those moments together, or even when they're not really really young, like 4, 5, 6, when they can actually maybe remember that for the rest of their lives, and just knowing how impactful my dad was on me, um, and little things that I look back on, playing in the backyard, him coming to games when I was younger, or coaching, or little moments, or watching tape of him when I was like, 7, or getting up to run with him in the morning before school when I was like 12 at like 4:30 in the morning and stuff like that. So, and those little things, I think, yeah, that is the only thing that I think about in terms of some sort of like pressure or motivation to start a family sooner. But I guess it's just a challenge for me to continue to try and play as long as I can to make that a ability.
So if your family or your wife's family give you pressure about or ask you that question again, just tell them to watch the video out here, watch the end, so you can get the answers.
You could plug us in and be like, oh, you should actually watch Urban Pitch.
No, but I think Bridget's asking that question because all the players that we have families. She's wondering where the single players are at.
Yeah.
No,
Is there
I'm
a
wondering,
soccermeet.com?
No, I'm curious to know, like, what do your single teammates look for in a I'm asking for a friend.
For a friend. She's asking for a friend.
Not for me. It's not me. But if it was.
Shoot her some Instagrams, please. Try to get a player.
Preferably not on private, not private Instagrams.
I mean, I think they're more loyal if they're private.
Oh, okay. Okay. Green flag?
But let's go ahead. Keegan, what are your thoughts on that? Let us know. We want to know.
My thoughts on what? Sorry.
What do you think your teammates that are single look for in like that person that's going to be their partner, their future partners?
I would say, I think in our profession, it's you just want somebody that's going to support you. I feel like that's pretty much any profession, right? Or anything that your spouse is going to do as well. You want to have somebody that you can come home to, or somebody that is always going to be on your side, always going to be somebody that supports you, encourages you, or gives you what you need. I just yesterday I sent this post. I'm a huge golf guy, so I follow the PGA Tour on Instagram, and Jordan Spieth was talking about his wife, and so he started his career in like, I don't even know, 2013 or something, and burst onto the scene, won a couple majors, won like a ton early on in his career, and now has kind of experienced a bit of a dip in form and is kind of getting back to where he was, and just spoke about coming home one day, and he was speaking about his wife in general, but he said, I'm going to have to put in a lot more hours than what you've seen before. And he goes on to speak about her for like a minute and just kind of said, like, he can remember so many times vividly that she's been there for him, or she's come to him and said, like, I'm here for you, whatever you need, just let me know. Like, if it's too much, let me know. If it's too little, let me know. Just let me know what you need. I'm here for you, because, he was expressing, this is what I want. Like, this is what I want right now. And I don't know, that kind of support system. And, especially for us now being away from our families, we're kind of, it. And I think that partnership and the way you learn to support each other like that is what marriage and what, finding someone is all about. And I think that's probably deeper than the guys that are single right now are thinking. But I think that's what people are after is that support system. I think one way or another, those guys are turning to somebody else for that right now, best friend, or, a sibling, or their parents. And, hopefully that spouse or that person is going to take over that role. And it goes both ways. It's not because we're athletes. It's not because, all we need is somebody at home to tell us we're great and to tell us, oh, you played so well, and oh, you looked good tonight on the field. My wife will give it to me straight, like after a couple of bad plays, or like, me being switched off on a couple of moments. And she'll also be the first to say that I'm not sometimes great at hearing that, but it's good to hear. You need to hear it. And yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know if they would answer the same thing to that, but I think that's what I would say.
Knowledge bomb. That's
yeah,
that's
that's what I was
hard.
just about to
That
say.
was-
We're gonna
that-
clip that and
Yeah, that's a
make
great
it
answer.
go viral. To
I'm
all the men.
I'm gonna put that on my dating profile.
He's gonna quote
You're-
that verbatim, the whole
It's gonna be-
paragraph.
Your main picture.
No, Keegan, this has been amazing. We're running out of time here, but just want to thank you one more time for taking the time to join us and share some perspective on all things. I mean, I didn't think that this is what we were going to be ending on tonight, but I think this is great. This is great stuff to hear. But we wish you the best of luck. And now I know what we're gonna do when we hit the Colorado. We're gonna play some golf because I'm still pretty terrible, but I love getting out there. So that's the move, I think, when we come out that way. But once again, thank you so much for taking the time.
No, thank you guys. And sorry if some of the feedback or like me getting in at the right time was off. I maybe had missed a couple things you guys said, but thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun. It's been super easy. So you guys are great.
No, thank you. We appreciate it. And good luck on Saturday. We know you're playing LAFC, so we'll be watching.
Yeah, we're gonna need it, man. They're good, so we'll need it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, Keegan, for joining the podcast. This has been the Urban Bitch Podcast, A Beautiful Game of Life, part of the Believe Network. For Keegan Rosenberry, Julio Monterosa, Brigitte Flores, I'm Ramsey Abushala. Keep it top 10. We got more episodes for you. But until then, we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.